Hey people, let's talk about the power of innocence, because innocence is God's original idea for human beings, because then we have the purity of heart and the purity of mind. That is being in a shape where we do not have the destruction of guilt, we don't have the destruction of shame, we don't have the destruction of corruption. We are just in such a pure, such a beautiful space. Now that was God's original idea, and that is what was happening in the Garden of Eden with the first human beings, Adam and Eve. Now God really wants us to have to retain and to be in the sense of innocence, because number one, we are the image bearers of God on earth, and so we have to represent and look like him on earth, and so one of the things that innocence does is that it causes us to have a security in our identity in God, that the only voice that we can hear, that we can know, is the voice of God and not any other voice. So then that way is God who defines us. We are who God says we are. We do what God says we do. We possess what God says we possess. That way our identity is secure, and our security is in God. So innocence makes this thing possible. The second thing is that innocence protects our intimacy with God. Every time we are innocent, we are just in a space where we can commune with God, we can hear him, he talks to us, we talk, we have conversations, we hang out with him. There's no barrier of sin, there's no barrier of shame, no barrier of hiding, no barrier of guilt, no barrier of condemnation. We are just there as a child who's just innocently saying things and doing this. We are hanging out with our Father, and so it protects our intimacy with God, because every time you spend time with God, he sees through you, you see through him, and over again you become more and more like him. The other importance of innocence is that now it empowers us to be able to fulfill purpose, because purpose has everything to do with dominion. We have to dominate, you have to occupy, this earth, as part of the reasons why we are on earth as human beings. And so this thing of constantly striving, doing, performing, and all that will not be there if we have the innocence of God, the purity of heart and the purity of mind. Ours is just to wake up and do what God wants us to do. It will just wake up and exist in the spaces that God has us exist in. It will just be waking up and doing and becoming, everything that God wants us to be, without the guilt and shame that constantly makes us want to perform, makes us want to hide and do all, overcompensate, people please. No. That is not where our attention will be when we have the innocence from God. Now Adam gave away that innocence, and it is Jesus who gives us back that innocence. And next week we are going to explore that. Sorry, not next week, on the next lesson we're going to explore how that happens.